Chapter 61. Settling Debts. 3. Noah paused outside the door, listening to muffled voices within. Rex's distinctive growl carried through the thin walls, though the words remained indistinct. Last chance to change my mind. Walk away. Keep the money. Move to another city. But the thought of actually stealing money from them, even if they were loan sharks, irked him. He was going to become the richest man in the world. He was going to travel various worlds later on. If I can't handle some small-time punks, how will I be able to survive in fantasy worlds? Time to end this properly. Noah knocked. Last chance to change my mind. Walk away. Keep the money. Move to another city. But the thought of actually stealing money from them, even if they were loan sharks, irked him. He was going to become the richest man in the world. He was going to travel various worlds later on. If I can't handle some small-time punks, how will I be able to survive in fantasy worlds? Somewhere between dodging extremist fireballs and watching Lola incinerate 3 adept-level mages, his perspective had changed. These loan sharks, Rex and his crew of neighborhood predators, they were practice rounds. Training wheels for the kind of dangers that awaited him in realms where magic could rewrite reality and power determined who lived and who became cautionary tales. Time to end this properly. Noah knocked. The voices inside died instantly, replaced by the kind of loaded silence. Yeah. Rex's voice carried through the door like gravel mixed with barely contained aggression. Noah Carter, we need to talk. The door swung open to reveal Rex himself. The loan shark's expression cycled through surprise, suspicion, and finally interest as his gaze settled on the briefcase. Well, Rex's smile held all the warmth of winter concrete. Look who finally decided to stop playing hide and seek. His calculating stare dropped to the leather case, and Noah caught the exact moment recognition flared in those dead eyes. Money. Enough money to make this conversation very different from their previous encounters. Got something for me, Carter? Noah lifted the briefcase, letting its weight speak volumes. Everything I owe, plus interest, plus the inconvenience fee you mentioned. Rex's eyebrows climbed toward his receding hairline with genuine shock. This wasn't the script he'd been expecting. Broken men didn't walk into his office carrying solutions in leather briefcases. Is that so? Rex stepped aside, his movements suddenly less predatory, more businesslike. The dynamics had shifted and both men felt it. Well then, come on in. Let's talk business. The office interior looked like a discount furniture store had been detonated inside a tax preparation service. Mismatched chairs surrounded a desk that had seen better decades, while filing cabinets lined walls that desperately needed new paint. This is it. The moment everything changes. Noah settled into the offered chair, placing the briefcase carefully across his lap. The leather felt warm against his palms, a tangible reminder of just how dramatically his circumstances had shifted. All right, Mr. Rex, let's settle this properly. What's the exact amount I owe? Rex's predatory smile widened as he moved toward a battered laptop perched precariously on the edge of his desk. His fingers clicked across keys with surprising delicacy for someone whose primary business involved physical intimidation. No problem, Carter. Let me pull up your file. Of course, he keeps digital records. Even loan sharks have gone corporate. Papers rustled as Rex extracted several documents from a manila folder thick enough to suggest Noah's debt had generated substantial paperwork. Interest calculations, penalty fees, late payment charges. Each sheet representing another layer of financial quicksand he'd been drowning in for months. Let's see here. Principal amount, accumulated interest, processing fees, collection costs. The numbers danced across the screen while Noah forced his expression to remain neutral. Inside, his heart hammered against his ribs with anticipation mixed with carefully controlled anxiety. Total comes to $11,450. Rex leaned back in his chair, studying Noah's face for any sign of panic or desperation. $11,450. That's everything. The way Noah responded made it sound like he was genuinely concerned his resources might fall short. Can't let them think I'm swimming in cash. The last thing I need is for them to decide that the price has just doubled because I can afford it. That's everything. Noah's voice carried just the right note of financial strain. You're sure that covers all fees and penalties? Rex nodded with the certainty of someone who'd performed this calculation countless times before. Every penny, Carter. Pay that and we're square. Time for the reveal. But carefully. Noah opened the briefcase, revealing neat stacks of bills that represented his escape from this particular nightmare. He counted out the exact amount, setting each stack on Rex's desk with the reverence of someone parting with their last resources. The remaining $550 stayed in the case. As he closed the briefcase, Noah let his voice drop to a whisper that carried just enough volume to ensure Rex caught every word. Damn it! I don't have money for rent. The words escaped as a whisper that wasn't meant to be heard by anyone. Rex's thick fingers moved through the bills, his lips moving silently as he verified the count. $11,450 exactly. After completing his audit, Rex stood with the satisfaction of someone whose evening had exceeded expectations. His smile carried genuine warmth for the first time in their acquaintance, the kind reserved for customers who paid in full, on time, without requiring creative persuasion techniques. Well, Carter. He extended a hand that Noah accepted with inward reluctance. God knows what he does with this hand. It was a pleasure doing business with you. You are officially on a clean slate, fresh start, all that motivational bullshit. The handshake lasted exactly long enough to seal their transaction without implying friendship. If you ever need any more loans, do not hesitate to contact us again. Rex continued with a smile on his face. That's definitely not happening again. We appreciate customers who honor their commitments. Chapter 62. Shopping Spree 1. Noah gave a small smile to Rex before leaving his office. Noah maintained his careful pace down the stairs, and the building's exit appeared ahead like salvation disguised as urban decay. Only when the Main Street air hit his face did he allow himself to breathe properly. No one came after me. Thank God. Relief flooded through him like warm honey. His shoulders straightened as he realized that he was free. Genuinely, completely free from the financial quicksand that had been dragging him under for too long. I don't have any weapons with me that I could use to defend myself. That was kind of stupid. I should have brought something with me, just in case things went south. The thought sobered him slightly. He was worrying whether Rex would send people after him, asking where he got the money from, or perhaps wanting to steal money from him. Luckily, none of that happened. His wealth meant nothing if he couldn't protect it, couldn't protect himself. Noah stood on the sidewalk outside Rex's street, watching a taxi crawl through traffic like an arthritic turtle navigating molasses. I need to buy a car. This isn't ideal. I can't keep ordering taxis and waiting for them. That's wasting so much time. The realization struck him with the force of someone who'd suddenly remembered he wasn't poor anymore. Public transportation belonged to his old life, the one where every purchase needed careful consideration and budget calculations that carried over into the following month. Time to move on. But first, preparation. Noah had read enough web novels to recognize the classic scenario lurking ahead. Walking into a luxury dealership dressed like someone who survived on ramen and hope, only to face condescending salespeople who judged customers by their appearance rather than their bank accounts. First things first, buy some good clothes. I don't want to be mistaken for a poor person trying to waste the assistant's time, then have them force me into some face-slapping scene. He shook his head at the absurdity of it all. Real life wasn't a Chinese cultivation novel where arrogant young masters dismissed protagonists based on their shabby clothing, only to receive devastating comeuppances involving hidden identities and superior martial arts. Too cliché. Gotta be more creative than walking in looking homeless just to prove a point. No, he'd approach this intelligently. Dress the part, act the part, and make the entire transaction smooth and professional. Save the dramatic revelations for people who deserve them, like Rex and Amy. Speaking of that, the thought triggered another thought. His new wealth came with responsibilities beyond mere personal comfort. Aunt May and Uncle Smith had supported him through the darkest period of his life, offering emotional sustenance when his bank account couldn't even provide the nutritional kind. They had also helped him pay the rent many times before. Ethan had become more than a cousin. He'd become a younger brother who deserved nice things. He saw himself in the young man, and he wanted him to live a better life than he did before. And his father, who'd sacrificed everything for Noah's education and dreams, now lying in a hospital bed, worried about medical bills that Noah could finally, actually afford. Time to return some favors. Noah pulled out his phone, scrolling to Ethan's contact with the satisfaction of someone about to make a teenager's day significantly better. Noah, hey, wanna go shopping? I'm buying you and your parents some gifts. The response came back with the speed that only teenagers could achieve when good news arrived via text message. Ethan, what? Are you serious? Noah, dead serious. I'll pick you up in an hour. Also, find out your parents' clothing sizes. Discreetly. Ethan, this is insane. You don't have to. Noah, I want to. Family takes care of family, right? Ethan, in his room, took a long pause before he typed his next message. Ethan, thank you. Seriously, I'll get the sizes. Noah pocketed his phone, already mentally thinking about the stops they'd need to make. Clothing stores for himself and the family. Something special for his father, maybe a comfortable robe or premium pajamas that didn't smell like hospital disinfectant. Then the car shopping. Maybe something reliable but not too flashy. His business in the other world was generating serious wealth, but wisdom suggested keeping that fact as quiet as possible. The taxi ride to his apartment gave him time to plan. First stop would be a mid-range clothing store, nothing too expensive, but quality pieces that projected competence and financial stability. Dark jeans, button-down shirts, maybe a decent jacket. For the family gifts, he'd aim higher. Aunt May deserved something elegant, Uncle Smith something practical but luxurious. Ethan had already received his phone upgrade, but Noah suspected the kid could use some quality clothes. Shopping with family. When's the last time I could afford to do that? The answer came with uncomfortable clarity. It was never. Even before his financial troubles reached critical mass, Noah had always been the recipient of family generosity, never the provider. Birthday gifts came with apologies about their modest nature. Presents were thoughtful but clearly limited by budget constraints. Today, that changes. His phone buzzed with another message from Ethan. Ethan, got the sizes. Mom's going to wonder why I'm suddenly interested in her wardrobe choices, but mission accomplished. Noah, perfect. See you soon. The apartment building appeared through the taxi window, its familiar shabbiness now seeming temporary rather than permanent. Soon he'd be able to afford better. Soon he'd be able to afford anything he wanted. Noah paid the taxi driver and headed inside his apartment complex. 30 minutes later, Noah emerged from his apartment wearing his best available outfit, which still looked like something assembled from clearance racks by someone who'd learned fashion from online tutorials. The contrast between his appearance and his bank balance remained comically stark. Last time I'll have to worry about that. The second taxi ride carried him toward Ethan's house. Chapter 63. Sick. Ethan stepped out of his house. He wore casual clothes, some dark jeans and an oversized hoodie. A black messenger bag hung across his shoulder. Noah gestured toward the waiting taxi. Sorry, I was late, Ethan said as he slid into the back seat, adjusting his bag. I had to get my medication organized. Medication? Noah didn't take it seriously. He guessed it was some kind of antibiotic or paracetamol, nothing too serious. None of his guesses prepared him for Ethan's matter-of-fact response. I've been recently diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Need to keep my insulin pens with me, coupled with fast and slow-acting glucose in case of hypo or hyperglycemia. Ethan spoke like someone discussing the weather rather than a life-altering medical condition that would shadow every decision for the rest of his existence. Noah's eyes widened. Aunt May didn't tell me about this, but of course she hadn't. Aunt May specialized in cheerful updates about family achievements and gentle inquiries about Noah's romantic prospects. Medical diagnoses didn't fit her conversational template, especially ones involving her teenage son's new dependence on pharmaceutical intervention for basic survival. Type 1 diabetes. Noah had heard about it, he wasn't ignorant about the condition. An autoimmune condition where the body's immune system destroys insulin-producing beta cells in the pancreas. Unlike type 2, which developed gradually through lifestyle factors, type 1 struck without warning or obvious cause. The pancreas simply stopped working forever. Hyperglycemia meant blood sugar levels climbing toward dangerous heights, requiring insulin injection to prevent diabetic ketoacidosis, a potentially fatal condition. Hypoglycemia meant blood sugar crashing toward unconsciousness, requiring immediate glucose intake to prevent seizures or coma. A constant balancing act between too much and not enough, with death waiting on both sides. I see, Noah managed. The taxi driver glanced in the rearview mirror, sensing the change in the tone. He'd probably transported enough passengers to recognize when small talk had evolved into something more substantial. Ethan's expression remained carefully neutral, but Noah caught the flicker of vulnerability beneath his cousin's composure. How long has he been dealing with this? The small bag suddenly made perfect sense. It wasn't a fashion accessory, but a survival toolkit containing the medication required to keep Ethan's blood chemistry within acceptable parameters. Insulin pens for high blood sugar, glucose tablets for dangerous lows, testing strips to monitor the invisible war being fought inside his body. And I thought my loan shark problems were stressful. Realizing that his young cousin was terminally ill made him feel sad for the kid. His thoughts wandered back to his cousin's recent heartbreak. It was bad enough to be dumped for someone with more money. Infinitely worse when you're already dealing with the psychological burden of a lifelong medical condition that marked you as different, fragile, requiring special accommodation. No wonder he looked so defeated. It wasn't just about the girl. When? Noah asked gently. 3 weeks ago, Ethan replied, his tone maintaining that careful neutrality. Started feeling really thirsty, tired all the time. Mom thought it was stress from school. Then I lost like 15 pounds in a week and started throwing up. Hospital stay? Noah probed, already knowing the answer. About a week. DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. Basically, my blood turned into acid because my pancreas decided to quit without notice. Ethan's laugh carried no humor. Great timing, right? Amy was posting pictures with Jason while I was learning how to inject myself with insulin. Oh God. A 16-year-old kid processing a permanent medical diagnosis while simultaneously discovering his girlfriend's betrayal. No wonder Ethan had seemed so hollow when he met him. Does she know? Noah asked. Nope. Haven't told anyone at school yet. Still figuring out how to explain why I need to eat lunch at specific times and things like that. Ethan's attempt at humor fell flat, revealing the anxiety beneath his composed facade. Taking him on a shopping spree just became a lot more important. Noah's original plan to spoil his cousin with nice clothes and gadgets suddenly felt inadequate. This wasn't about teenage materialism anymore. It was about giving Ethan something positive to focus on while adjusting to a reality that would follow him forever. The insulin, Noah said carefully. Is it expensive? Oh, monumentally, Ethan replied with bitter cheerfulness. Like mortgage payment expensive. Monthly. Forever. Insurance covers most of it, but the copays are still brutal. Dad's been stress-eating antacids since we got the first pharmacy bill. Another piece of the family puzzle clicked into place. That's. Noah searched for appropriate words and found none. That's a lot. Yeah, it's basically a subscription service for staying alive. Premium membership in the Not Dying from Lack of Insulin Club. Ethan's dark humor made Noah worry. But hey, at least I lost those 15 pounds everyone keeps saying teenagers need to worry about. The taxi turned onto the main shopping district, its windows revealing stores that had previously been beyond Noah's financial reach. Time to make this kid's day significantly better. Ethan. Yes. You ready? Ethan nodded, shouldering his bag. Ready. The first store greeted them, and Noah approached the nearest associate. A woman in her 30s whose smile managed to be both professional and genuinely welcoming. Her quick assessment of their current attire resulted in exactly zero judgment, which immediately elevated her in Noah's estimation. Looking for anything specific today? She asked. Complete wardrobe upgrade for both of us. Noah replied with the casual confidence of someone who'd recently discovered the joy of not checking price tags. Business casual weekend wear. Whatever you'd recommend for someone of my age and his age. Listen to me talking like I understand fashion. The associate's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. It was rare to find such a heavy spender. Wonderful. I'm Sarah. Let's start with some basics and build from there. After some time of Sarah guiding them through the store and different choices, Ethan stood in front of a three-way mirror, transformed by clothes that fit him good. The difference was remarkable, not just in appearance but in posture. His shoulders had straightened, his stance more confident. The kid looks like he belongs in a college catalog. How do you feel? Noah asked. I feel good. He smiled. Chapter 64. Shopping Spree. Sarah returned with armloads of additional options, each piece clearly selected with purpose rather than randomly grabbed from nearby racks. Her expertise showed in the details. Shirt cuts that flattered rather than merely fit, color combinations that enhanced rather than competed. Try this combination, she suggested, handing Ethan an outfit that somehow managed to look effortlessly stylish while remaining completely age-appropriate. 20 minutes later, Noah faced a decision that would have been impossible just days earlier. The running total displayed on Sarah's tablet made his old self want to hyperventilate. His new self simply nodded and reached for his credit card. Everything fits well? Sarah confirmed. Perfectly, Ethan replied, still studying himself in the mirror with something approaching wonder. All right, gentlemen, the price will be $2,549. She smiled through it all. She was definitely going to be commended for her job. Noah needed to take out his credit card to pay. Ding! The chime of the card reader sounded. The transaction had been processed without any issues. Thank you both, Sarah said, organizing their purchases into elegant shopping bags. Enjoy your new purchases, and you are welcome to come back anytime again. She definitely wants us to come back. That commission is decent. Outside the store, Ethan walked with the gait of someone afraid to wrinkle his new clothes. But instead of heading toward the parking area, Noah continued deeper into the mall. Ethan's confusion was immediate and obvious. There's more? Where are we going now? His voice carried genuine concern. I think that's enough. You've already spent a lot, Noah. What a good kid. Worried about my finances. Noah smiled before responding. We haven't hit the technology section yet. Want anything from there? I'm good. My PC works fine. Honestly. Ethan's headshake was perhaps a little too emphatic, the protest of someone trying to convince himself as much as his audience. That hesitation says everything I need to know. Ethan, tell me, are you sure about that? Noah's tone carried gentle pressure. This is a one-time offer. Don't miss it. And don't worry about the money. Noah had lied about the one-time offer to make the hesitant kid come out of his shell. The internal war played out across Ethan's features. His old PC, 8 years of faithful service, now struggled with modern games. Every gaming session reminded him of his PC's limitations that his competitive spirit couldn't overcome. Ethan hesitated. He was reluctant. His old PC had been bought about 8 years ago, and it was struggling to keep up with the new games. Whenever he lost due to a frame drop, he would become upset. His dream was to become a professional player, but his computer had shut that dream down. He was incredibly good despite his bad PC, and he had the feeling that he would be able to compete at the top levels had he been using good specs. Noah didn't waste time. Without another word, Noah gestured toward Technoworld's glowing displays. Come on, he called over his shoulder. Let's see what actual performance looks like. Ethan followed with the reluctant enthusiasm of someone being dragged toward their own birthday party. His steps quickened despite his protests. This is what having money should feel like. Not anxiety about spending it, but joy about what it can accomplish. Wall-mounted displays showcased the latest innovations that the tech world had come up with. A sales associate approached them with a smile on his face. He knew when a rich customer came in, and he could tell by looking at Noah and Ethan. Good afternoon, kind gentlemen. Looking for anything specific today? Noah returned the greeting with a smile. We would like to buy 2 gaming setups. We want the top tier. Money's not a problem. The associate's eyes lit up with excitement. He was a tech geek, and rarely did anyone want to buy the top specs. Having the chance to do the honors himself made him happy. Furthermore, the commission made him extra excited. Excellent. Let me show you our premium gaming setups. Ethan's protests evaporated as they approached displays that represented everything his competitive spirit had been yearning for. This wasn't just shopping anymore. It was his wish fulfillment day. Many of his wishes were being granted by his cousin, and he was appreciative of it. For competitive gaming without any money issues, I would suggest the best card currently available on the market, RTX 5090, Intel i9 processor, 64GB DDR5 RAM. The specifications flowed like poetry to anyone who understood their significance. The waiter carried on about specification and their purposes. By the time the man finished, Ethan was dumbstruck. Noah, this is insane. You can't. I can. Noah's interruption brooked no argument. Consider it an investment in your future career. Ethan had told him about his ambitions of becoming a professional player, and he decided to help the little man out. Wireless headsets, extended mouse pads, cable management systems. The list continued as Marcus added accessories that transformed gaming from hobby into professional-grade activity. Noah watched the total climb with fascination mixed with horror. Although he was paying for it and he wasn't regretful, it was still incredibly expensive. But a look at his status made him smile. Host: Noah Carter. Age 28. Shops 1. Daily revenue $3,000. Current assets: $125,850. Shop points: 1560. Attributes: Strength 4, Vitality 4, Intelligence 7, Agility 3. Skills: Swordsmanship, Level 4, Mana Control, Level 4, Cooking, Level 2, Programming, Level 2, Finance, Level 1, Surviving on Ramen, Level 3, Gaming, Level 1. Final total comes to... Marcus paused dramatically, clearly enjoying his moment. $17,250. The number hung in the air like a challenge. Ethan's face cycled through multiple expressions. Shock, disbelief, and finally a kind of numb acceptance that this was actually happening. $18,000. That's more than some people's cars. Computers are really expensive. Noah pulled out his credit card with no sign of strain on his face. Ding! The transaction was processed with satisfying smoothness. Excellent, Marcus replied, seeing the transaction going through. Would you like to collect everything today, or shall we arrange delivery? Your purchase has definitely reached our free next-day delivery requirement. Let's go with the delivery, thank you. Chapter 65. Heading to buy a sports car. Marcus handed over paperwork with the care of someone completing a sacred transaction. Great, thank you. With the transaction complete, Noah and Ethan stepped out of Techno World into the mall's bustling corridor. Nearly $18,000 later, and were walking away empty-handed. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. Noah turned toward his cousin with satisfaction radiating from his expression, then reached out to ruffle Ethan's carefully styled hair. I bought a PC alongside you, he grinned, ignoring Ethan's protests about his disrupted hairstyle. You better be good at games and carry me. Otherwise. The threat was more playful than serious, but Ethan still responded with confidence. Don't worry about that, big brother Noah. I got you covered in that regard. I will sweat in your lobbies, but don't blame me if you are accused of being boosted. Ha ha ha, good. The afternoon's shopping expedition was reaching its natural conclusion, but Noah's mental checklist remained incomplete. His phone displayed the time. I need to head to the car dealership. They aren't going to remain open forever. All right, let's go. Time for you to head home. You've got study work to do. And make sure you give those gifts to Auntie and Uncle. Ethan nodded. Thank you, Noah. I won't forget what you've done for me. Kids getting emotional. Time to deflect before this becomes a full-blown Hallmark moment. So, what are you eating for lunch? The taxi ride to Ethan's house passed in comfortable silence, both passengers processing the day's unexpected developments. When they pulled up to the familiar suburban driveway, Ethan gathered his shopping bags. "See you soon, big brother," he called as the taxi pulled away. "See you." Noah waved softly from the window. "Big brother. That's going to stick, isn't it?" "Car dealership, please," Noah told the driver, settling back for the next phase of his upgrade campaign. 5 minutes into the journey, his phone erupted with his ringtone. Aunt May is right on schedule. She had already investigated the kid. Kid must have walked through the door before being bombarded with questions. Noah sighed with wry resignation before accepting the inevitable conversation. "Hello, Auntie." "Noah." Aunt May's voice practically burst through the speaker with the force of maternal curiosity unleashed. Ethan just walked in looking like he stepped out of a magazine. "And these shopping bags? What have you been doing?" "Just some shopping." "Shopping? Just some shopping. These clothes have designer labels. And this receipt." "Noah, this receipt has more numbers than my mortgage payment." "Auntie, business has been really good lately." "What business? Last month you were eating ramen for breakfast. Now you're buying clothes that cost more than my car payment?" "Noah, what is happening? Promise me that you aren't doing anything illegal." Noah sighed. "Does selling items to demons count as illegal? I don't think so, right? Auntie, I promise you that I'm not doing anything illegal." The interrogation was reaching critical intensity. Noah could practically hear her radar spinning at maximum velocity, detecting every inconsistency in his carefully constructed explanations. Time for the classical escape option. "Auntie, I'm actually in the middle of another important meeting right now." Before she could ask what the meeting was, Noah answered before her. "Business meeting. Very important. Gotta go. Love you." Click. Noah ended the call immediately, then immediately switched his phone to silent mode. "Aunt May's gonna call back. Unfortunately, my phone will remain on mute." "Sorry, Auntie." The car dealership appeared ahead, its rows of gleaming vehicles making him excited. Some problems were more pleasant than others, but they were still problems. Noah walked inside the dealership with his heart beating faster every second. He was going to make one of his dreams true in this large, car-infested dealership. Most of the workers were busy, some on the phone to customers whilst others seated with clients. Noah didn't mind that and walked around the dealership. "It's good that they are busy. It gives me more time to explore everything and find the beauty I'm looking for." As he explored the dealership, a large variety of cars were spotted by him. Whether it was large luxurious SUVs or small hatchback cars, even the new hybrid electric cars were there. Pretty cool stuff over here. After a few minutes of walking around, checking out different cars, he spotted what he came for. Beautiful. As always, there it was. The GTR sat like a predator among prey. Sculpted lines that spoke of raw horsepower barely contained within elegant engineering. Twin-turbo V6, all-wheel drive system, and acceleration that could redefine reality in under 2.9 seconds. Noah had watched countless street racing videos featuring this exact model, memorizing every specification like scripture. The Japanese engineering perfection, the stuff of midnight Tokyo dreams. As he admired the beauty, reading through the information, a salesman approached with a smile on his face. Noah didn't seem to spot him until he spoke. "Beautiful machine, isn't it?" He gestured toward the GTR with obvious pride. Noah nodded. "Very beautiful. My name's Jack Greel. Nice to meet you, Mr. Noah." "Mr. Noah, are you interested in the GTR? If you would like, we can discuss its specifications, whether it would suit your needs and things like that." Noah nodded. "I'm interested." "Great. Would you like to follow me to my desk? Also, would you like some coffee? Tea?" Noah accepted his gesture. "Coffee, please, thank you." Seated on the desk with Jack, they had gone through the whole process. "I would like to buy it." "Great. We can discuss financing options that make ownership surprisingly accessible. Actually, I'll be paying in cash. The salesman's expression froze mid-pitch. His brain visibly recalibrated, processing information that defied his usual routine. Rarely did anyone come to the dealership to buy a car at full price. In cash. Most come to finance them, especially the younger generation. Cash? Sir, the MSRP of this particular model is $103,540. Noah watched the shocked expression on the man's face as he pulled out the card, ready to pay. I know. Chapter 66. Buying the GTR. 20 minutes later, Noah signed papers that transferred ownership of his childhood car to a reality. The dealer handed the keys over to him. Congratulations, Mr. Carter. She's all yours. Thank you, Noah smiled, taking the keys from the dealer's hand. Stepping inside the car, Noah examined the interior once again. Leather seats, sharp outlining, modern screens. The car had everything he wanted, and it was fully his now without worrying about any payments. But there was one thing that pained him. His face almost betrayed his thoughts. I'm poor again, he cried without tears, staring at his status screen. Host, Noah Carter, age 28, shops 1. Daily revenue $3,000. Current assets, $5,300.64. Shop points, 1560. Attributes, strength, 4, vitality, 4, intelligence, 7, agility, 3. Skills, swordsmanship, level 4, mana control, level 4, cooking, level 2, programming, level 2, finance, level 1, surviving on ramen, level 3, gaming, level 1. His shop points remained the same, including his automaker's progress. Staring at his assets, which were no longer in the 6 digits, he received more motivation to go back to the shop and sell some more bread and iced tea. Noah exited the dealership with a smile on his face. He didn't head home straight after buying the car. He wanted to break into it and experience the full feeling of the car. Hence, he decided to head to the motorway. He had a driver's license, and he also sorted out the insurance in the dealership. Everything was ready for him. The on-ramp stretched ahead like an invitation. Noah merged into traffic, initially maintaining normal speeds while familiarizing himself with controls that responded immediately. Unfortunately for Noah, the 65 mph speed limit wouldn't allow him to experience the full potential of the car. Nonetheless, he was a law-abiding citizen, and just because he had money didn't mean that he would act like a complete jerk and become a danger to himself and others around him. His foot pressed deeper into the accelerator. Vroom! The GTR transformed instantly. The twin-turbo V6 howled with fury as acceleration pressed Noah back into leather seats. Holy! This is actually happening. Vroom! Vroom! Wind rushed past the windows as the speedometer climbed with alarming enthusiasm. Other vehicles seemed frozen in comparison, their drivers probably wondering what had just blurred past their peripheral vision. The highway stretched endlessly ahead, asphalt disappearing beneath wheels that gripped pavement with supernatural tenacity. I could get used to this. 10 minutes of slowing down, then speeding up to stay within legal ranges passed in a blur of controlled restraint. The GTR wanted to run wild, but Noah forced discipline over desire. Reluctantly, Noah eased off the accelerator and settled slightly below the maximum speed limit. His next destination was the hospital. The car dealership had graciously held his earlier purchases while he test drove his new machine. Now the passenger seat overflowed with clothing he had bought with Ethan. The hospital's familiar parking structure welcomed him. Inside the hospital, room 412 appeared ahead, its number no longer triggering anxiety about the mounting medical costs. Noah knocked gently before entering. His father sat propped against pillows, reading a paperback novel whose pages had seen better days. Alan Carter looked up with a brightening expression. Noah? Wasn't expecting you today, it was getting late. I had thought that you were busy today. Noah set the bags on the floor beside his dad's bed. Yeah, my bad. I was out shopping for both of us. I brought you something. Oh, by the way, what are you reading? I'm reading a web novel that has come out recently, and it's quite good. It's called Online Game, starting with SSS ranked summons. You should check it out when you have time. Oh really? I guess I will check it out later. Alan's eyebrows climbed with curiosity as Noah began extracting items. Premium cotton pajamas in soft blues, a luxurious robe that felt like wearing clouds. Noah. These are beautiful, really good quality, I must say. Noah nodded with a small grin on his face. Figured you needed some new clothes. Oh, by the way, everything's machine washable, soft against skin, and designed for comfort. Alan ran his fingers across the pajama material with obvious appreciation. The difference is remarkable. I can actually feel the quality. There's more. Noah pulled out a final item, a cashmere throw blanket in deep green. You know, when you want to go outside and get some fresh air. If it's cold, you can take this with you. It will keep you warm. His father's eyes glistened with emotion. Son, thank you. Noah settled into the visitor's chair with satisfaction radiating from his posture. You're welcome, Dad. Alan wrapped himself in the new robe, his expression transforming to comfort. It feels like I'm wearing a hug. Noah chuckled at his dad's joke. Yeah, it does feel like that. But the question is it a female's hug? Or a male's hug? His dad glared at his teasing but laughed himself. They spent the next hour talking and catching up. Alan did not ask his son about where he could afford so many clothes. He knew his son was responsible enough to know that money didn't grow on trees. After chatting with his dad, Noah returned back home and parked his car alongside the other cars on the street. He prayed that no idiots would scratch his car whilst he was in another world working, since it was brand new. He parked the car where a CCTV was positioned towards, just in case somebody does something stupid. After parking his car, he went back into his house. The sun had already set and he was tired from the day's events. The next day arrived with Sin City's blend of chaos and commerce. Noah stepped through his portal into the familiar confines of his shop. His shelves displayed his full stock of golden loaves and glass iced teas. The automakers had worked through the night with diligence, ensuring his inventory. His first customer walked in. Oh, I'm glad you finally opened. Viscount Vex burst through the entrance with his drama. His flower crown slightly askew from what appeared to be anxious pacing. I came a few times in the past hours and didn't find you open. I had thought that you weren't going to open today. Chapter 67. Demonica Moonberg. Noah chuckled, adjusting his shopkeeper demeanor to accommodate Vex's energy. No, I don't open that early. What do you need? Bread and iced tea. The Viscount's head bobbed with enthusiasm that made his delicate flower companion sway precariously. Yes, yes. Precious is doing wonderfully, by the way. Your products work miracles. His shoulders drooped before he could finish. Although there is the downside of limited supply. 30 golden coins. Noah extended his hands for the payment. But instead of reaching for his coin pouch, Vex's expression changed into a mischievous smile. His eyes shone with the satisfaction of someone about to deliver unexpected news. No, no, no. He waved dismissively at the mention of payment. I got you something more important than golden coins. I got you this beauty. Oh, demon gift exchange. This could go very badly. From seemingly nowhere, Vex produced a potted plant. The specimen resembled a miniature tree with pink leaves that made it very cute, like a sakura tree. I must say, you are a lucky one, Vex continued, his pride evident in the way he spoke and looked at the plant. Many people in this kingdom would kill to get this specimen. It's called Demonica Moonberg. Noah raised an eyebrow, his survival instincts immediately questioning the wisdom of accepting mysterious plants from an enthusiastic, demon-like Vex. It doesn't eat, right? Please tell me I'm not about to become plant food. Vex shook his head with reassuring vigor. It's very tame. It doesn't eat. But it does drink. Drinking. That sounds manageable. Water, maybe some plant fertilizer. Noah's face froze as a sudden thought emerged. Wait. Drink what exactly? You wouldn't manage to bring me an alcoholic plant, right? No! Vex's horrified expression suggested Noah had just accused him of a crime. It drinks water, or other kinds of drinks. Other kinds of drinks. That's refreshingly vague and not at all concerning. Ah, all good. Noah studied the plant with growing curiosity rather than outright suspicion. He didn't outright reject the plant. Perhaps it was useful. Money wasn't the only useful thing in this world. System. Is this plant worth anything? Host can inspect items directly. Simply focus and think. Inspect. Convenient. Let's see what we're dealing with. Noah directed his attention toward the Demonica Moonberg, mentally commanding the inspection. Demonica Moonberg. Details. A rare cultivation plant that absorbs liquid nutrients and converts them into beneficial aura enhancement for nearby beings. Regular proximity increases physical conditioning, mental clarity, and mana sensitivity. The plant's effectiveness scales directly with the quality of liquids provided. Water maintains subbasic function, while mana-enhanced beverages exponentially increase beneficial effects. Estimated value, 50 golden coins. 50 golden coins. That's significantly more than the 30 he owes me. Noah's poker face nearly cracked as the plant's true worth registered. This wasn't just a decorative gift. It was a living enhancement system that could accelerate his physical and magical development. It also looked quite beautiful, which made it a nice addition to the shop. And it gets better with mana drinks. Like my iced tea. Vex had essentially provided a plant that would thrive on the very products Noah's shop produced, creating a perfect synergy between the two. This is... Noah began, carefully modulating his response to avoid revealing the plant's true significance. Very thoughtful of you, Vex. The Viscount beamed with pride, clearly pleased by Noah's acceptance. Precious insisted you would appreciate quality flora. She has excellent judgment about these things. Noah accepted the pot with appropriate ceremony. Noah handed over the bread and iced tea, watching Vex cradle the items like they were his children. 30 golden coins worth of product for a 50-coin plant. Not the worst trade I've ever made. Daily income has been updated. Daily income stream, $5,000. Since the plant has been accepted as payment for both products, the system has split the payment equally. Current income stream, bread, 25 golden coins, iced tea, 25 golden coins. Noah's eyebrows climbed up. He had almost forgotten that he could accept payments in forms other than golden coins. As long as their value was higher, it would boost his daily passive income from the previous number to the value of the item. System. Does that mean I can earn a Demonica Moonberg every day as payment instead of gold coins if I want? That is correct, host. You can receive Demonica Moonberg as a daily payment, however. That means you will not be receiving golden coins. This is it. This is how I break through my current limitations. I will get a few of these plants and keep feeding them iced tea, which will give me thrice the result of having just one plant improving my vitals. Noah smiled. Great. Please proceed with that for the next 2 days. I want this plant as my payment for the next 2 payments. Request processed. You will receive Demonica Moonberg for the next 2 days instead of a monetary equivalent. $5,000 total value. Vex departed with his items, completely unaware that his generous gift had just revolutionized Noah's entire enhancement strategy. The rare specimen he'd presented as a unique offering would soon become a common plant inside the shop. Poor guy has no idea that his rare specimen will become as common as water. Noah gazed at the Demonica Moonberg with appreciation. The smile spreading across his face would have scared some customers away. 3 cultivation plants, each one enhancing his physical and magical development, all powered by products he created automatically. This is great. Let's see how good your benefits are, Noah muttered, his eyes fixed on the small tree perched innocuously on his counter. The Demonica Moonberg sat motionless, its delicate branches swaying slightly in air currents that didn't seem to affect anything else in the shop. If plants could look expectant, this one managed the feat. Time for the real test. Noah approached his shelves, picking a glass bottle. Pop! The cork released with a satisfying sound. immediately filling his shop with the intoxicating aroma. Chapter 68 Moon, Royal Parade. If this doesn't impress a cultivation plant, nothing will. He turned toward the Demonica Moonberg with a smile on his face. Come on, Moon. Noah addressed the plant with a joking tone. Let's see what you do when I feed you this. You must know I'm feeding you an expensive drink. This is worth 20 golden coins. Don't disappoint me, all right? 20 golden coins of liquid mana enhancement. If this doesn't trigger something spectacular, I'm returning you to Vex with a complaint. The plant maintained its silence, neither acknowledging his words nor showing obvious signs of anticipation. You are the strong, nonchalant type. Got it. Noah tilted the bottle carefully, watching the cold tea flow toward soil that had probably never experienced anything more exotic than Demon Realm groundwater. The iced tea disappeared into the dark soil. Within seconds, Moon was no longer silent. The sakura-like leaves began vibrating. What started as gentle trembling escalated into visible vibration, as if the plant's entire circulatory system had suddenly awakened from dormancy. Each leaf seemed to glow with internal light, and the air around the plant began glowing with energy that Noah could actually feel against his skin. It's working. Good job, Moon. With no immediate customers demanding attention, Noah settled into his meditation position beside the counter. The Demonica Moonberga's constant energy release created the perfect cultivation environment, mana thick enough to taste, let alone feel. Time to see if expensive plant food translates to an actual magical breakthrough. He closed his eyes and began the familiar breathing exercises Alara had drilled into him. Feel the mana. Don't grasp for it. Let it flow through consciousness like water finding its level. The mana-rich atmosphere made everything easier. What once required intense concentration now felt as natural as breathing. Moon is definitely earning its keep. 30 minutes passed in meditative silence. No door chimes interrupted his focus. No customers demanded magical bread or iced tea. The unusual quiet should have been concerning, but Noah found himself grateful for uninterrupted practice time. Some peace to actually concentrate. His mana control had been approaching level 5 for days, and Noah's thoughts were simple. He needed to turn the theoretical knowledge into a real, practical one. He wanted to access his storage rings, perhaps conjure some basic spells, and actual magical competency instead of fumbling around with invisible forces he could sense but not use. Come on, just a little further. Noah opened his eyes slowly, his eyelashes fluttering as his consciousness returned to the physical world. The sensation was unmistakable. He could feel power flowing through his pathways that had previously been somewhat blocked. It felt like energy was responding to his will rather than remaining frustratingly elusive. I can feel it. I'm getting closer to finally becoming a novice mage. I just need an extra push to break through. He glanced at Moon, still glowing with energy beside him. The plant had created the perfect cultivation environment, accelerating his development beyond anything he'd experienced during Princess Alara's lessons. Maybe the expensive plant food was worth every golden coin. Noah reached out to stroke the pink leaves like some kind of mystical pet, earning a subtle vibration of approval from his plant companion. Good work, Moon. Keep this up and I'll feed you iced tea every day. Though technically I already am, for the next 2 days at least. Although he was satisfied with his progress in reaching level 5 in mana control, a different concern emerged. Noah turned toward his shop entrance with growing confusion. Why is nobody coming into my store? 30 minutes had passed without a single customer. In Sin City's busiest plaza? That's unusual. A voice suddenly sounded beside him, nearly gave him a heart attack. It's because there's a royal parade outside. What the? Noah spun around so fast he nearly knocked over Moon's pot, his heart nearly attempting to escape through his throat. Lola lounged against his wall with elegance, her arms crossed, and ruby eyes sparkling with amusement at his obvious shock. Why are you so scared? How long has she been there? How did she get in without me noticing? Noah stammered, his voice cracking embarrassingly. Why you? When did you get here? Whilst you were practicing, I got here. Her smirk suggested she'd enjoyed watching his meditation session more than was probably appropriate. You looked so peaceful. Didn't want to disturb your concentration. She watched me meditate. For how long? System. Why didn't you notify me that someone entered my shop? What if she stole something or tried to hurt me? Host. She displayed no malicious intent. There was no need to interrupt your concentration. She simply observed your training. Simply observed, right? Because that's not creepy at all, especially when I don't know. Acting like Edward Cullen. All that's left is for her to watch me sleep. Noah really couldn't argue with the system's logic, much as he wanted to. Lola's presence had been genuinely non-threatening. She just watched, like some kind of supernatural guardian angel with questionable boundaries. Royal parade? Noah asked, latching onto the explanation for his missing customers rather than dwelling on surveillance issues of the system. Annual celebration, Lola replied. The royal family stand on their castle balcony, displays themselves, citizens pretend to be impressed, and everyone gets the day off work. Very traditional. Why aren't you there? Noah raised an eyebrow with genuine curiosity. Seems like the kind of event someone like you should attend. Considering you are at the top of the hierarchy here. Lola shrugged with nonchalance before a smirk slowly formed on her face. Parades are complicated for me. Besides, I would rather be alone with you. There it is. The verbal trap I walked straight into. Noah didn't turn pink on her clear flirting this time. Although it was still difficult to immunize himself from her sultry words, he was no longer easily swayed. Her looks don't help either. If she were an ugly demon, I wouldn't care. But her words really make all kinds of ideas pop inside your head. Chapter 69. A different perspective. Right? Noah replied with casualness, turning his attention back to Moon's glowing leaves. Well, since you're here, do you want to buy something? Or are you just here for the free entertainment? Two can play at this game. Lola's smirk widened at his deflection, clearly recognizing his improved resistance to her charm offensive. Instead of pushing harder, she seemed almost pleased by his development. Actually, she said, settling more comfortably against the wall, I am curious about your new companion. Her ruby eyes remained on the Demonica Munberg with genuine interest rather than seductive mischief. I got it as payment for a loaf of bread and a glass of iced tea. Lola's eyebrow arched with genuine surprise. That's a good deal, I must say. Her voice carried a note Noah hadn't heard before, as if she was suspicious. This species of Demonica plants is quite rare. There's only one person in Sin City who could supply you with this. One person. That sounds ominous. Noah raised an eyebrow. He didn't know that Vex was the only one who could supply this plant. Viscount Vex gave it to me. It seems like that noble demon has quite the fame. The look of surprise on Lola's face melted into something approaching mild interest. That reaction suggests Vex isn't just some eccentric flower enthusiast. Vex? She repeated slowly. Her ruby eyes darted between Noah and the Demonica Munberg with the intensity of someone reassessing an entire situation. And he just gave it to you? As payment. The way she's looking at me has changed. Like I just revealed something significant without realizing it. Noah felt the familiar prickle of walking into information he didn't fully understand. The plant continued its gentle glowing beside him, oblivious to the sudden tension its origins had created. He seemed happy with the trade, Noah replied carefully, watching Lola's face for clues about whatever landmine he'd stepped on. He said his flower companion, precious, insisted I'd appreciate quality flora. Lola chuckled softly, covering her mouth as if she'd found something genuinely amusing. Oh, this is fascinating. You really don't know, do you? Know what? And why does everyone in this kingdom speak in riddles? Lola laughed at his expression, the look of a man lost in an information desert without a map. Vex owns an entire acre filled with rare Demonica plants, she explained, her amusement evident on her face. He treats most of them like his children, powerful demons, wealthy merchants, even nobility come to him constantly, begging to trade for just one specimen. An entire acre. Of course, the flower-obsessed Viscount has a whole farm filled with man-eating plants. But he refuses them all, every single request, no matter how generous the offer. Those plants are his precious family. Noah's mouth opened slightly. I casually accepted something that powerful demons can't buy. For him to give you one of his rarest species, he must really like you. Lola decided to buy her usual order of a loaf and a drink. The transaction proceeded smoothly. Lola placed 30 golden coins on the counter, and Noah retrieved the bread and iced tea without changing his established pricing structure. Despite my daily income jumping to 50 golden coins, keeping loyal customers happy matters more than short-term profit maximization. The succubus had proven herself a reliable patron, and Noah's business philosophy favored relationship building over aggressive pricing strategies. Who knows? Perhaps this succubus might give me a valuable item, just like Vex. Lola uncorked the iced tea with a satisfying pop sound, taking a small sip that triggered the expected soft sound of appreciation. But instead of her typical seductive performance, she seemed more focused on the conversation. So, she began, settling into a comfortable position on the floor while breaking off a piece of healing bread. I saw you practicing magic earlier. It seems like you're very close to becoming a novice mage, right? Lola is a master mage. Perhaps she could help me break through faster. Noah nodded, stroking Moon's glowing leaves absently. I'm working on my mana control. I can sense everything, feel the power flowing through channels, but actually using it is still quite hard. He shrugged with mild frustration. Lola chewed thoughtfully, her ruby eyes studying his expression. The barrier between sensing and manipulating is always the most challenging threshold for new mages. Most people try to force their way through, she continued, taking another sip of the iced tea. They grasp at mana like trying to catch flowing water with their bare hands. But this always ends up in their failure to attain it. Noah's attention increased. This wasn't just a theoretical discussion. She was offering practical advice based on actual experience. What's the alternative? Lola smiled. Stop trying to control the mana. Start thinking about becoming part of its flow. Become part of the flow. That's actually a good way of thinking about it. I had thought of letting it move through my consciousness naturally. Noah replied, curious about the distinction. That's correct. Albeit it's only the foundation work. What you are talking about is the essential basics, the basics needed to feel mana around you. But breakthrough requires understanding that mana isn't separate from you. It's an extension of your will. Think of it like it's your life force, your very existence. She gestured toward Moon, whose leaves pulsed with absorbed magical energy. You see your plant there? Noah nodded, looking at Moon, glowing with energy around it. It doesn't control the mana it absorbs. It becomes one with it, integrates the power into its essential nature. Similarly, the storage ring on your finger. It responds to mana that feels like part of its owner, not mana being forced into compliance. Hence, the reason that only the owner is able to use the storage ring and access its content. Try this. Instead of reaching for mana during your next practice session, imagine your consciousness expanding to include the magical energy around you. Don't pull it toward yourself. Grow into it, she suggested, finishing her bread with obvious satisfaction. Chapter 70. Interesting. The concept that Lola had just taught him felt both new and yet oddly intuitive. Noah found himself nodding. Expansion rather than extraction. Exactly. Lola nodded with approval. Mana responds to harmony, not force. Most novice mages never learn this distinction. Time passed by in a blur. Eventually, customers flowed through Noah's doors like a steady tide after they celebrated the royal parade, and each transaction added a smile to Noah's face. Within an hour, his shelves stood completely bare. Once again. Complete sellout. Every single item moved. Noah surveyed his empty inventory with satisfaction. 25 loaves of healing bread, 25 bottles of mana-enhancing iced tea. They had all been sold and converted into 750 golden coins. $75,000. In a few hours. The numbers still felt surreal. His automakers had worked with efficiency throughout the sales rush. Auto iced tea. Level 2. Production rate. 1 iced tea every hour. Max stock. 24. Progress. 53/100. Auto baker. Level 2. Production rate. 2 loaves every hour. Max stock. 24. Progress. 27/100. The progression is accelerating. Both machines are climbing toward level 3 with each sale. I should be able to level up my auto iced tea in 2 days. As for the baker, it will take 3. Noah's financial transformation continued at a breathtaking pace. From a struggling man to a wealthy merchant in mere days, the Demon Kingdom had embraced his shop with enthusiasm, and he was grateful. I might have to pay 1,000 shop points to stay here for a longer period. I don't think I can leave this place at the current earning rate. The thought carried tempting logic. Sin City offered high customer demand, enthusiastic purchasing power, and demons who valued his products beyond anything he'd experienced in human territories. But then Noah shook his head, recognizing the creeping influence of avarice. I'm becoming greedy. The realization made him take a step back from all his thoughts. Whilst money was flowing faster than he'd ever imagined possible, other responsibilities demanded attention beyond pure profit. I still need to inform Alara about the extremist sect of the demon's problem. The fact that nobody in Durenhold can determine the real source is concerning. There must be somebody pulling strings and benefiting from the war between the two kingdoms. His encounter with the banished extremists had revealed crucial intelligence that Esta's leadership desperately needed. The demons weren't unified enemies. They were victims of the same radical faction terrorizing human settlements. Someone was profiting from perpetual conflict while both sides suffered casualties. Information like that could prevent unnecessary bloodshed and protect my friends. Maybe even reach some kind of understanding between kingdoms. I don't think there is any human who can speak the demon tongue. Perhaps I could facilitate that with my system translation. Noah's decision was made. He didn't want his friends, Grix, Alyssa, and Valeria, to be in the dark. He wanted to help, and the extremists would become an easy issue to solve once the demons and humans reached an agreement to eradicate or imprison the extremists. When the 10-day relocation period ended, he would return to the human kingdom temporarily. Not permanently. His demon customers had proven too valuable to abandon, but long enough to share what he'd learned about the true nature of their conflict. But for now, I want to level up my store to level 2. And the Demon Kingdom is the best place for that. The upgrade requirements flashed across his retina. Level 2 shop. Requirements. Dash 5,000 shop points. Dash all automakers at level 2. I'm getting incredibly close. The automakers have reached level 2, which means I only need shop points now. His current total stood at impressive heights, climbing steadily with each successful transaction. Every sale made brought him closer to unlocking an expanded product line. The Demon Kingdom understands value. They appreciate quality products and pay accordingly. Noah settled into his chair, watching Moon pulse with mana. The Demonica Moonberga's gentle glow provided a subtle enhancement that accelerated his development. Some decisions required balancing profit against principle. But first, he had a shop to upgrade and customers to serve. The Demon Kingdom's gold would fuel his ascension to the next level of his shop. Lola had already left quite some time ago, saying that she had a few things he needed to do. Noah didn't dwell on it. The succubus wasn't glued to him, and it was natural that she was bound to leave and do her own things. A master mage must have many things to do. Despite selling his full stock, Noah did not leave the world just yet. His work hours had still not finished. Maybe I can get a few more sales done. A few hours later, the time for him to close the shop has officially arrived. Not bad. I sold 2 extra glasses of iced tea and 4 loaves of bread. The last customer had just left with his final products. Noah closed the door and decided to return to Earth to complete some of the goals he had set for the day. Arriving back in his apartment, Noah took a quick shower. Noah's first stop was the curb outside his apartment. He needed to check whether his car had been damaged or scratched urgently. It was his dream car, and he had just gotten it the day before. "Please don't break my heart," he thought as he approached his car with a grim look on his face. "Thank God," Noah muttered, sighing in relief after checking that the car was still brand new with no hiccups. Noah slid into the GTR, locking the key in the ignition, and he held himself back from revving it because he didn't want his neighbors to hate him. "I can't act like a bastard just because I have some money now. I need to find a good spot for housing. It should also be close to the hospital just in case things go wrong." Chapter 71, Heading to a Dojo. Despite his wealth, Noah's destination wasn't a real estate office. His 5-figure balance, while impressive by his previous standards, wouldn't comfortably cover a quality house purchase in the city. He could manage the mortgage route with a 20% down on a $500,000 property somewhere decent. But the thought of interest rates made his stomach clench with remembered anxiety. "I've had enough with interest rates. I don't want to go down that path again, even if I could easily handle the payments now, without worrying about being broke again." He would rather pay in full when the time came. Cash purchase, no complications, no monthly reminders of financial obligations. A smile spread across his face as he considered his actual destination. 20 minutes from his apartment, in a part of the city that balanced accessibility with authenticity. Noah stood before a large training facility whose exterior radiated some kind of aura. The wooden sign above the entrance had been carved with care, each character precise and bold. Musashi's Dojo. The name alone gives the building respect. Legacy built through generations of martial excellence. The dojo of the strongest swordsman in history, Miyamoto Musashi. Noah had decided to test his swordsmanship skills against real professionals rather than continuing to train exclusively alone. He no longer had Vaelria's guidance due to his shop moving. His level 4 proficiency meant he'd surpassed most modern practitioners. But most wasn't all. Time to see where I actually stand. The interior smelled surprisingly nice. It didn't have the smell of sweat from the intensity of serious physical training. Students moved through stances with concentrated expressions, while instructors observed with critical eyes that missed nothing. An older Japanese man approached Noah with the stride of someone whose every movement had been refined through decades of practice. His white hair was pulled back in a traditional style, and his dark eyes assessed Noah. "Can I help you? I'm interested in training here. What are your rates?" The master studied Noah's posture, the way he held himself. It was subtle indicators that spoke more than words. After all, body language accounted for 55% of communication. "I need to see your skill first." "Fair enough. No point discussing payment if I don't meet their standards." The master gestured toward a weapons rack lined with wooden practice swords. Noah selected one without worry. He had been practicing swordsmanship under Valeria's guidance with wooden swords. "The weight distribution feels different from what I'm used to. I need to adjust to it." "Show me basic forms," the master commanded. Noah settled into his stance, feeling the familiar flow of muscle memory guiding his movements. High strike, middle strike, low strike. The foundation sequences Valeria had drilled into him until they became involuntary responses. The dojo fell silent. Other students stopped their practice, attention drawn by something they couldn't immediately identify. Noah moved through the forms with ease. The way he moved told everybody in the dojo of the hours of dedicated training spent. The transition between forms was seamless and elegant. "Something's changed. The way they're looking at me." "Again," the master said quietly. "I want you to do some complex combinations." Noah nodded before he started the advanced sequences, incorporating footwork and timing that pushed beyond basic competency with the sword into actual martial skill. His movements carried the confidence of someone who'd trained against opponents trying to kill him rather than merely score points. I must say, Alyssa's talent provided me excellent motivation for rapid improvement. The wooden sword cut through air with precise timing, each strike carrying enough force to disable without telegraphing intention. Defense flowed into attack, Retreat became counteroffensive positioning. Enough! The master's voice carried a note Noah hadn't expected, respect mixed with genuine surprise. How long have you been training? A few weeks. The silence that followed was beyond a mere pause. Other students exchanged glances that spoke to shared disbelief, while the master's expression shifted through several stages of reassessment. A few weeks, he repeated slowly. Yes, sir. No point hiding my progression. Why would I? I don't want to act like a sheep when I'm becoming a lion. The master approached, circling Noah with the attention of someone examining a puzzle that defied conventional explanation. His eyes tracked minute details, stance stability, weapon control, the unconscious confidence that came from real combat experience. Your foundation is solid, he said finally. But your advancement. He shook his head with something approaching wonder. This represents years of intensive training, not weeks. I've had excellent instruction, Noah replied carefully. Show me your sparring capability. The master selected his own practice weapon from the racks. This will be light contact. It's a controlled demonstration. This should be interesting. They faced each other across the training mat, and Noah immediately recognized the skill of the old man. The master's stance spoke to decades of refinement, subtle positioning that maximized both offensive and defensive options. He's not just skilled. He's experienced. The engagement began with testing strikes, each combatant evaluating their opponent's responses and capabilities. Noah found himself pushed beyond his comfort zone, forced to adapt and respond to techniques his previous training hadn't covered. This is what real martial arts looks like. But his progression showed. Where technique failed, his instinct filled gaps. His body was getting better at performing the skills by the minute. The sparring match concluded with both fighters acknowledging mutual respect through traditional bows. Free of charge, the master announced. The dojo erupted in whispered conversations as students processed what they'd witnessed. I don't accept payment from students who teach me something new, the master continued. Your development defies conventional wisdom, and I'm curious to see where it leads. Free training from a legitimate martial arts master. Some investments pay dividends in ways you never expect. Noah accepted the offer with appropriate gratitude, already anticipating how much he would improve and how many levels he would be able to gain before the dojo would no longer be a viable option of learning. Chapter 72, Musashi's Descendant. After exchanging several more combinations and discussing various techniques, the conversation naturally drifted toward the dojo's history. Noah found himself genuinely curious about the lineage behind such exceptional instruction. Your technique, Noah said, wiping sweat from his forehead. Where did you learn it? Is it really from the legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi? The master's expression carried pride mixed with reverence for tradition before he gave a soft nod. My family has preserved these methods for 16 generations. We are direct descendants of Miyamoto Musashi. Wait, what? Noah's practice sword nearly slipped from his fingers. The legendary swordsman who'd revolutionized Japanese martial arts, whose techniques had influenced combat philosophy for centuries. This man standing before him carried that bloodline. Miyamoto Musashi, the actual legend. His descendant is teaching martial arts in a dojo in the U.S. You're serious? Noah managed, his voice carrying disbelief that bordered on awe. Completely serious. My ancestors' teachings have been passed down through our family line and preserved. Most people don't believe such lineages exist outside Japan. I didn't think the Japanese legend would have a descendant who'd learned his techniques, much less in the USA. He wasn't just training with some skilled instructor. He was learning from someone whose fighting knowledge traced directly back to one of history's greatest martial artists. How did your family end up here? Noah asked, genuinely fascinated. My grandfather emigrated after World War II. He believed Musashi's teachings could benefit anyone dedicated enough to learn, regardless of nationality. The master gestured around the dojo with obvious affection. This place represents that philosophy, authentic tradition adapted for modern students. Other students had begun gathering around their conversation. The techniques you demonstrated show a remarkable natural affinity to the sword. With proper guidance, you could master concepts that take most students years to understand. Noah felt excitement building in his chest, not just for the training opportunity, but for the chance to learn from someone whose knowledge connected directly to historical greatness. "When can I start regular training?" he asked. "Tomorrow if you're available. But I warn you, if I find you slacking or coming late, I will not be responsible for teaching you again. I only like to put in the effort for those who put the effort themselves." "I'll be here." Noah nodded with a serious expression on his face. After his training at the dojo, Noah left the place and made his way back to his house. The delivery personnel had sent him a message telling him that the delivery would be made in the next hour slot. At his apartment door, Noah found himself face to face with a delivery driver and 3 massive boxes that dominated the hallway. "Need help getting these inside?" the driver asked, already moving toward the first box. Noah nodded gratefully, helping maneuver the equipment through his doorway. The boxes took up a significant floor space in his modest living area. The delivery driver pulled out his phone with an embarrassed smile. "Sorry, sir, but I've got to take a picture of the boxes inside for proof of delivery." Noah nodded. Of course, of course. There had been many fraud scams of people claiming they did not receive their goods, and it was understandable. After taking the pictures as proof, the man turned towards Noah. After documenting the delivery, the man turned toward Noah with professional courtesy. "Sir, your purchase qualifies for a full professional setup. Would you like that service?" Noah scratched the back of his head with a wry smile. Whilst he wanted the man to set it up and everything, there was one small issue. "I'm planning to move houses in the next few days, and there's barely room here for all this equipment. I would love a professional setup, but I'm planning to relocate soon. Is it possible to schedule that for later?" The man responded immediately. "Absolutely, sir. You have 3 months to schedule installation. Just call us with your preferred time and location." "Perfect. Thank you for the help." Noah smiled. After the delivery driver departed, Noah arranged the boxes in his apartment's corner, creating as much open space as possible. His phone buzzed with an incoming message after he was done. "It seems like Ethan has already completed his setup," he muttered, staring at the picture of the new setup. The setup looked like a professional streamer's setup. The kid kept sending him messages and Noah smiled through all of them. "He's going to start streaming soon." "Huh?" Noah gave him a quick reply with a thumbs up and good luck. "Make sure you send me your username on the streaming app. I will watch you when I'm free," he muttered as he typed out his message. Hitting send, Noah sat on his chair. He didn't have much to do. Everything seemed so boring. "I've already spoken to Dad, hit the dojo, done some grocery shopping and collected my parcel. There is nothing much I can do here." A thought appeared in his mind. Since he was bored on Earth, why not go back to the magical world of Esta? Maybe I should come out of my cocoon, perhaps go slay some monsters and level up my strength. It's always fun to do that, just like the old days in D&D. He knew for a fact that Ethan would, without a doubt, wish he had the opportunity to go to another world where monsters existed. "Maybe some other time, perhaps when I become strong enough." Stepping into the portal, Noah returned back to the medieval world. Inside his shop, Noah's stock had once again replenished, although not fully. His shelves were still half empty. "Since I'm going out on an adventure, I suppose I need some supplies in case things go wrong. So, I'm going to take 2 loaves of bread in case I get injured and 1 iced tea bottle," he muttered, whilst taking the supplies from his shelf and stuffing them inside his coat. His bread was wrapped, and his glass bottle was sealed, so he didn't worry about spillage. Chapter 73, Out on an Adventure. Noah stepped out of his shop into Sin City's bustling plaza. The sounds of demons haggling and cartwheels on cobblestone filled the air. Time to explore beyond my comfort zone. Before he could take more than a few steps, a voice called out with a surprised tone. "Noah? I don't usually see you at this time. Is the shop open for sales?" Noah turned to find one of his regular customers. A middle-aged demon with small horns and the expression that suggested today hadn't gone according to his plan. Noah smiled wryly. "Yes, it's open. Would you like to buy something?" The man nodded with obvious relief. Yes. I was unable to come early today, so I thought I would have to wait until tomorrow. It seems like I was wrong. Lucky timing for both of us." Noah returned inside his shop, checking his current inventory. 2 glasses of iced tea and 4 loaves of bread sat on the shelves. He had enough time for one more transaction before his adventure began. "I would like a loaf and a glass of iced tea." Noah placed both items on the counter and accepted the 30 golden coins. "Thank you for your patronage." He smiled as the customer departed with his provisions. Now for the real question. Where exactly am I going? Noah's destination remained completely undefined. He had no map, no guide, no understanding of what lay beyond Sin City's borders. The place Lola had taken him before was definitely off-limits. It was way too dangerous for someone whose combat experience consisted of a few sparring sessions and one terrifying encounter with extremists. If I encounter another powerful group of extremists, I'll most likely not make it out alive. Best case scenario is becoming a slave. The thought sent unpleasant chills down his spine. Noah approached a nearby demon merchant who was arranging colorful fabrics on his stall. "Excuse me, could you recommend somewhere safe for new adventurers to practice? Somewhere with monsters but not, certain death." The merchant looked up with amused understanding. "Ah, first hunting expedition? You want the Crimson Mountain Range, about an hour north of the city. Open fields, basic monsters, plenty of other beginners around. It's a relatively safe territory. Extremists never venture there. Perfect. Monsters without the risk of encountering extremists. Any recommendations for weapons?" Noah asked. The merchant pointed toward a building with smoke rising from its chimney. "Corgan's Forge, 3 streets over. Best blacksmith in the district. Tell him Vexus sent you." Noah nodded with an appreciative smile before he focused his attention on the clothes that the man in front of him was selling. "I need some local clothing. I completely forgot to buy some in Esta. I can't make the same mistake again." The man asked for a total of 5 golden coins for the clothes, which Noah accepted without any haggling. The price was reasonable in his opinion, and the man had helped him with his inquiries. The outfit was unlike anything he was used to. Instead of long trousers and sleeves, he now wore a sleeveless draped tunic that slanted across one shoulder, secured with a minimal clasp near the collarbone. The hem dropped unevenly to the thigh, with one layered panel hanging longer on the right side. A wide sash, wrapped tightly around his waist, held the tunic in place. Beneath the tunic, loose-fitting shorts gathered just below the knees gave the outfit a grounded, practical look while preserving its flow. It was clearly designed for comfort in heat, airy and unrestrictive. A slim scarf was looped lightly over one shoulder. The forge announced itself through sound before sight. Clank, clank, clank. The sound of the hammers was clearly professional, carrying a rhythm of serious craftsmanship. It's like it's mirroring the beats of the heart. Noah pushed through heavy wooden doors into an environment that assaulted all his senses simultaneously. Heat from multiple furnaces erupted, and the scent of hot metal and coal smoke created an intense atmosphere that very few could handle for long hours. "I can barely stay here for 5 minutes. Yet he is here doing it for hours whilst working." Weapons lined every available wall surface, whether it was swords, axes, spears, or crafts whose purposes Noah couldn't immediately identify. Behind the main anvil stood a demon whose physical presence could only be described as monumentally intimidating. Muscles that belonged on construction equipment and hands that looked capable of crushing stone. This guy could probably bench press my car. But when the blacksmith looked up from his work, his expression carried unexpected softness. "A human? That's surprising. I've never seen one of your kind in the kingdom." "Well, it doesn't matter. Welcome to my forge, young man. What can I create for you today?" His voice was deep, just like his appearance suggested, but his tone held genuine friendliness that completely contradicted his appearance. "Gentle giant. Got it. I'm looking for a sword," Noah said, glancing around the forgery. Something suitable for a beginner who's just starting to hunt monsters. The blacksmith, presumably Corgan, like the man had said earlier, set down his hammer and wiped his massive hands on a leather apron. First weapon purchase? Excellent. Do you know the classification system? Noah shook his head with a wry smile. I don't. Sorry for the trouble. Corgan rebuked him. It's fine, young man. Everybody learns new things. Nobody is born with knowledge. Let me explain our classification system so you understand what you're buying. He gestured toward a display case containing weapons of varying shapes and sizes. Weapons range from Tier 0 to Tier 9, then advance to uncommon classifications and beyond. Tier 0 represents basic functionality, sharp steel, some decent balance, but nothing fancy. Tier 9 incorporates significant enhancements in quality and durability. The weapon would have self-sharpening edges and perhaps elemental properties of the user. Chapter 74. Buying a sword. As for the weapons in between the two tiers, the quality just gets better. 9 tiers. That's interesting. For someone just beginning their hunting career, I recommend Tier 1 or Tier 2. Tier 0 works fine for practice, but actual monster combat requires something more substantial. Corgan moved toward a rack of weapons. These Tier 1 swords carry minor enchantments, like improved durability, slight sharpness enhancement, and so on. It's perfect for newbies. It facilitates learning without overwhelming a novice with complex properties. Noah examined the offered blade. Holding it in his hand, its balance was indeed remarkable. He could feel that it was crafted with care. The steel felt different from his wooden practice weapons. It was heavier, designed for actual combat rather than training exercises. What about Tier 2? Tier 2 includes better weapon enhancement, Corgan explained, retrieving a sword whose blade was incredibly sharp in Noah's eyes. It has better self-maintenance properties, improved cutting power, but at the cost of being more expensive, but it's significantly more effective against tougher opponents. The price difference probably matters less now than it would have a week ago. How much for Tier 2? 50 golden coins for a quality Tier 2 blade. The purchase includes a basic scabbard and maintenance instructions. 50 coins. That's actually reasonable considering its properties. Noah nodded toward the glowing weapon. I'll take it. Corgan's smile suggested that he approved of his choice. Excellent decision. This particular blade is very well made. It's at the top of its tier. It's what you call the pinnacle of Tier 2. The moment Noah's fingers wrapped around the handle, text flashed across his vision. Zealous Quick Blade. Tier 2. Description. A sword made by the talented blacksmith, Corgan. Effect. +2 strength, +2 agility. Attribute bonuses. The sword actually makes me faster and stronger just by using it. Noah thanked Corgan and stepped out of the forge, the weapon's weight settling naturally against his hip. The scabbard's leather felt smooth and well-crafted, designed for someone who will need to draw quickly. Time to see what I'm actually carrying. Whether Corgan scammed me or not. Inspect. Zealous Quick Blade. Estimated value, 50 golden coins. He really didn't rob me. Huh? I'll come back to him when I need more equipment. Interesting that a demon wouldn't try to overcharge a human. The blade itself demanded closer examination from him. Noah drew it partially from its sheath, revealing steel that shone in the afternoon sun. The weapon's design was extremely similar to those from the east, a single-edged curve that promised devastating cutting power, balanced for swift strikes rather than heavy chopping. The handle wrapped in midnight black leather provided a grip that felt molded to his hand. A subtle guard separated blade from hilt. The steel itself held a faint blue tint, adding to the weapon's elegance. It looks like a katana designed by someone who understood both form and function. Noah sheathed the blade. The zealous quick blade disappeared into its scabbard with barely a whisper of steel against leather. The attribute bonuses were already taking effect. Noah felt lighter on his feet, more coordinated in his movements. His grip strength had increased noticeably, not enough to dramatically make him a superhero, but sufficient to provide improvement. Level 4 swordsmanship with this sword. I might actually do well with whatever I encounter in those mountains. Other demons moved about their daily business, but several glances lingered on him. A human in demon clothing was surprisingly interesting. Noah, with his void black hair and eyes, was made incredibly handsome when he wore the clothes. A group of young demons clustered near a message board caught his attention. Their equipment suggested that they were novice adventurers. They had leather armor that looked new, weapons still shiny with lack of use, and expressions mixing excitement with nervousness. Perfect. Other beginners are heading toward the same destination. Perhaps I could join them. Noah approached with a smile on his face. Nobody hates a smiling man. Excuse me, fellow adventurers, are you heading to the Crimson Mountains? A female demon with small horns and an oversized backpack turned toward him with surprising friendliness. Yes, it's our first monster hunting expedition. Are you going there too? That's the plan. Noah nodded. Mind if I join your group? Like they say, there is safety in numbers. The demons exchanged glances before nodding in agreement. Their leader, a young male with confidence that probably exceeded his actual experience, gestured toward the city gates. The more the merrier. I'm Drax, these are my friends Yaira and Kellen. We were just discussing strategy. Upon hearing that the demon group were discussing strategy, he suddenly felt inadequately prepared. And here I was thinking of just going there with just a sword. This group was creating a whole strategy. Nice to meet you guys, my name is Noah, he replied, falling into step with the group. What kind of monsters should we expect? Do you guys know? Slimes, grass beetles, maybe some fire wisps if we're unlucky? Yaira explained, consulting notes written on a parchment. Nothing above Tier 1 threat level in the outer ranges. However, most of these monsters should be at Tier 0. Tier 0 was monsters that had not yet advanced to the novice rank, just like Noah. That sounds good. The city gates loomed ahead of the group, marking the boundary between civilization and whatever adventures awaited in the wilderness beyond. Noah's hand rested comfortably on the zealous Quickblade's hilt, feeling more prepared for actual combat than he'd ever expected. Time to discover what monster hunting actually feels like. The Crimson Mountain Range opened before them like a natural amphitheater designed for novice combat training. Rolling hills covered in grass stretched toward distant peaks, while scattered groves and trees provided shade and tactical cover. This actually looks like a good training ground. Other demon groups dotted the landscape in various stages of preparation and practice. Some sat in circles on the grass, discussing their recent hunt and their next plans. Others engaged in active combat against creatures that bounced and scuttled across the terrain with determined persistence. Chapter 75. First Monster Slain. Look at them go! Kellen pointed toward a trio of demons surrounding what appeared to be oversized beetles with stone-like carapaces. Makes it look easy. Drax surveyed the area with tactical enthusiasm. We should start with something simple. Build confidence before tackling anything dangerous. A cluster of blue, gelatinous creatures caught Noah's attention. They moved with slow, bouncing motions across a patch of open ground, seemingly oblivious to the armed demons observing them from a distance. Slimes, the most classic beginner monsters in every game I've ever played. Those look harmless enough, Noah suggested, nodding toward the blue blobs. Yaira consulted her notes again. Basic slimes. Tier 0 threat level. Perfect for first encounters. Tier 0. Even lower than my sword's rating. This should be straightforward. The group approached cautiously, their weapons drawn but their movements careful. Noah's hand found the zealous Quickblade's hilt with growing confidence, feeling the weapon's hilt naturally into his grip. But this isn't a game. Better safe than sorry. One slime bounced closer, its translucent blue surface rippling with each movement. Blop! Blop! The creature showed no obvious aggression, but Noah had read enough fantasy literature to know that appearances could be devastatingly deceptive. I'll take the first one, Noah announced, drawing his blade in a smooth arc. The katana rested in his hand as he approached the nearest slime, which continued its bouncing pattern without apparent awareness of incoming danger. I need to be careful. Unknown creature, unknown capabilities. Don't assume anything. Once he was within attacking range, Noah raised the zealous quickblade and brought it down in a controlled diagonal strike that would have impressed Valeria with its execution, or so he thought. The blade sliced cleanly through the slime's gelatinous body, splitting it into two perfect halves that hit the ground with wet splashing sounds. Got it. That was easy. Both halves quivered for a moment, then began flowing back together with horrifying speed. Within seconds, the slime had reformed into its original shape, apparently unharmed by what should have been a killing blow. What the hell? Noah! Yaira called from a safe distance. You need to hit the core. Core, right? Of course, how could I forget? I was so focused on... Sigh. Noah peered more carefully at the slime, noticing for the first time a small, darker sphere visible through its translucent interior. The core pulsed with faint energy, clearly the creature's vital center. Basic slime. Tier 0. Description: a normal slime that lives in the wilderness. Usually not a threat to humanoids, but kills vegetation through acidic secretions. Wow. I didn't know that. I had always thought that slimes were harmless beings. Turns out they secrete acid that kills vegetation. Good to know. The slime resumed its bouncing pattern, still showing no hostility despite Noah's previous attack. Either it lacked the intelligence to recognize threats, or it simply didn't consider a single human dangerous enough to warrant an aggressive response. Noah leaned towards the former. Time for round 2. I need to aim for the core. Noah adjusted his stance, focusing on the small sphere bobbing within the slime's gelatinous mass. The target was mobile but predictable, following its usual rhythmic bouncing pattern. Timing is everything. He waited for the optimal moment, when the slime's bounce brought the core closest to ground level. Then he struck with accuracy and power. The zealous quickblade pierced the slime's surface and found its target with the satisfying sound of hitting the core. The core cracked under the blade's impact, then shattered completely. The slime's entire body convulsed once before dissolving into a harmless puddle that soaked quickly into the red grass. You have killed a Tier 0 monster. Basic slime. There we go. I had just killed a monster in this world, even if it was a mere slime. Nice work, Drax called out with a smile on his face. Clean kill once you've figured out the mechanics. Noah wiped his blade clean and returned it to its sheath, feeling oddly satisfied by the simple encounter. The combat had been brief and relatively safe, but it represented his first successful monster kill in this world. Your turn, Noah said to his companions, gesturing toward the remaining slimes in the area. Yaira approached the next creature with careful steps, her own weapon, a simple iron spear, held in a defensive position. Remember, aim for the core, she muttered, more to herself than to the group. Noah watched his new companions engage their first monsters while keeping alert for any threats beyond Tier 0 opposition. The Crimson Mountains might be considered safe for beginners, but safe was a relative term to the demons here, and he was a mere human. You have killed a Tier 0 monster. Basic slime. You have killed a Tier 0 monster. Basic slime. You have killed a Tier 0 monster. Basic slime. The notifications continued accumulating as Noah eliminated slimes across the practice area. Each kill became easier. Strike the core, watch the creature dissolve, move to the next target. This is starting to feel like grinding in a video game. It's pretty addictive. After his 7th consecutive slime execution, Noah stepped back from the carnage with growing dissatisfaction. Alright, I think that's enough slimes killed. They aren't benefiting me anymore. I need a more challenging opponent, otherwise I won't grow. Noah's eyes moved toward the northern section of the practice grounds, where a different kind of activity was taking place. The grass beetles inhabited their own territory, separate from the slimes but still within the beginner safe zone. Time to test myself against something that's more threatening. I'm moving up to the beetles, Noah told his group, who were still engaged in their own slime hunting exercises. Drax looked up from his successful core strike. Beetles are more dangerous. You sure about that? Only one way to find out. Noah smiled before turning towards the grass beetles' hunting ground. The beetle hunting ground revealed itself as Noah approached. That section of grass looked much more intimidating with beetles that moved faster than the slime's harmless bouncing. Chapter 76. Fighting the beetles. These look significantly more threatening. Other demon hunters were already engaged in combat, providing Noah with valuable intelligence about his next opponents. He positioned himself behind a convenient boulder and observed the battles unfolding before him. The grass beetles defied his expectations of what insects should look like. Each creature stood roughly the size of a cat, their carapaces gleaming with emerald and gold coloration that would have been beautiful if not for the obvious malicious intent behind their movements. Although they look disgusting, their colors are gorgeous and probably deadly. 6 legs ended in razor-sharp points that dug into the soil. Their heads bore mandibles that opened and closed with audible clicking sounds. Click, click. They were designed for cutting through obstacles or prey. But the wings drew Noah's primary attention. Gross membranes that caught sunlight like stained glass, capable of lifting the beetles several feet into the air for short-distance attacks that bypassed ground-based defenses. They can fly. That complicates things considerably. One beetle engaged with a young demon wielding a warhammer. The creature took to the air, diving toward its opponent with mandibles spread wide for a killing strike. The demon barely managed to roll aside as the beetle's aerial assault carved furrows in the ground where he'd been standing. Speed, flight capability, and natural weapons. These aren't practice dummies like the slimes. As Noah studied their movement patterns, he checked their information. Grass beetle. Tier 0. Description: a beetle that lives in the grass. They are a danger to their fellow neighbors, the slimes. They attack anybody within their territory with their sharp mandibles and have wings allowing them to levitate for short-distance leaps. The nearest beetle turned its attention toward Noah, its eyes reflecting his position with an unsettling stare. This is it. My first real fight against something that wants to kill me. Noah drew the zealous quick blade slowly, keeping his movements controlled and non-threatening while he assessed the situation. The beetle stood about 20 feet away from him. It was close enough to launch an aerial attack, but far enough to give him enough time to react. Don't rush it. I need to plan the engagement. Valeria always said strategy beats recklessness. That's what separates monsters from humans. The creature's wings buzzed annoyingly, testing their readiness for flight. Noah noticed how other beetles in the area had positioned themselves, too. It seemed like they preferred open ground for their diving attacks, whilst avoiding areas with overhead cover. I need to limit its aerial position, he thought, looking around him for things to use. His eyes brightened as he thought about the boulder nearby. This should do. Noah sidestepped toward the large rock he'd been observing from, keeping his blade in a defensive position. The beetle tracked his movement with its eyes, its head rotating to maintain visual contact. It's patient, waiting for the right moment to strike. The standoff stretched between Noah and the grass beetle for several heartbeats. Noah used this time to study his opponent's position, looking for tells that might indicate when it would attack. The beetle's rear legs seemed to shift slightly each time it prepared to move. There. I think its rear legs adjust its launch angle. I need to keep an eye on that. The beetle's legs shifted. Noah dove sideways just as the creature launched itself through the air, its mandibles spread wide for a decapitating strike. Screech. Wind from its passage ruffled his hair as he rolled behind the boulder, narrowly missing the attack of the beetle. That was way too close. The beetle landed heavily where Noah had been standing, its claws gouging deep furrows in the packed earth. Screech. It screeched once again, turning with surprising agility, already repositioning itself for another attack. It has quite a fast recovery time. I can't assume I have breathing room after dodging. Noah kept the boulder between himself and his opponent, using the cover to reassess. The creature's aerial attack was devastating but predictable after watching. It needed a moment to reposition between strikes. Seems like I will need to deploy my secret art. Hit and run. Strike when it lands, retreat before it can counterattack. The beetle circled the boulder, seeking an angle that would allow another diving assault. Noah moved in the opposite direction, maintaining cover while looking for an opening. Patient. Stay patient. One mistake and it will injure me. When the beetle committed to another aerial attack, Noah was ready. Instead of dodging away, he stepped into the creature's landing zone with his blade held high. The zealous quick blade caught the beetle across its midsection as momentum carried it forward. Shing! The katana bit deep into the beetle's natural armor, drawing a spray of greenish fluid that steamed where it hit the ground. It has acidic blood. I can't stay too close lest I get sprayed too. Things got more complicated. He frowned. The beetle shrieked and whirled to face Noah with obvious rage. One of its wings hung at an awkward angle, damaged by the sword strike. Looking at its wing, Noah's eyes brightened. Good. It's not able to fly as good as before. But the creature's ground-based attacks proved equally dangerous. It charged with surprising speed, its mandibles snapping at Noah's legs. He backpedaled immediately, using his agility to stay ahead of the clicking death. This thing doesn't give up. It just keeps coming like a wild dog. Noah circled back toward the boulder, looking for another opportunity to strike safely. The beetle's injured wing limited its mobility, but its rage seemed to compensate for the handicap. Need to end this quickly, before I make a mistake. The beetle lunged again, overextending itself in its eagerness to reach Noah. He sidestepped the attack and brought his blade down across the creature's neck with all the force he could muster. Come on. D. The zealous quick blade severed the beetle's head cleanly, sending it rolling across the grass while the body convulsed once before going still. Chapter 77. Dead. You have killed a Tier 0 monster, grass beetle. Noah stepped back from the carcass, breathing heavily from adrenaline rather than exertion. His hands trembled slightly as he wiped acidic blood from his blade. That was intense, much more dangerous than slimes. A quick self-assessment revealed no injuries beyond some scratches on his jacket where the beetle's claws had come close. The enhanced agility from his weapon had made the difference between victory and serious harm. The sword's sharpness and attribute points probably saved my life just now. Other demons in the area had noticed his successful hunt. A few nodded approvingly, recognizing competent technique when they saw it. Not bad for a first beetle kill. Noah checked the remaining creatures in the hunting ground. Several more beetles roamed the area, each one representing another test of his developing combat skills. I just took one down, but I need to stay sharp. Getting overconfident is how people die in this world. Noah checked the remaining beetles scattered across the hunting ground, his grip on the zealous quick blade more confident than before. The first kill had taught him valuable lessons about timing, positioning, and the beetle's attack patterns. I can feel it. My swordsmanship is close to leveling up. One or two more fights should do it. The feeling of breaking through drove him forward, but caution tempered his enthusiasm. He couldn't be overly excited, lest he made mistakes. Each beetle represented both opportunity and risk. I need to stay focused. Learn from the last fight. Noah selected his next target with careful consideration. A beetle positioned near the edge of the hunting ground, isolated from its companions by a stretch of open grass. It has no backup nearby, plenty of room to maneuver without being cornered. This beetle appeared slightly larger than his previous opponent, its carapace showing the darker coloration. It looks more mature than the previous one. This one must be slightly stronger. The creature grazed peacefully on the grass, its mandibles clicking every so often. Click, click. Larger means stronger, but also means I will learn more if I can take it down. Noah approached it with slow steps, keeping his footwork light and his katana ready. The beetle noticed his presence when he reached the 15-foot mark, its eyes darting to track his movement. Here we go again. Although his heart was beating just as fast, this time it felt different. Noah's stance held more confidence, his grip more firm. The lessons from his first beetle encounter had made him come to an understanding rather than mere survival instinct. I know how they move now, the telltale signs before they attack. The beetle's rear legs shifted slightly, the same movement Noah had observed before. Instead of waiting for the full attack, he preemptively moved to his left, positioning himself where the creature's aerial assault would be least effective. The beetle launched itself through the air exactly as predicted, but Noah was already 2 steps ahead of its trajectory. Swish! The blade cut through the air, meeting the beetle mid-flight. Noah's attack caught it across the thorax with a strike that combined good timing and accuracy, making it potentially fatal. Much cleaner than last time. The beetle crashed to the ground with greenish fluid streaming from the wound, but it wasn't finished. Shriek! Noah's face twisted at the loud screeching, but he had learned to expect resilience from these creatures. Is wounded but not dead. I need to press the advantage. Instead of backing away defensively, Noah advanced while the beetle was still disoriented from its failed attack. His blade work flowed more smoothly now, each movement building naturally from the previous one. High strike to keep it focused upward, then low cut toward the legs. The beetle's mandibles snapped at empty air where Noah had been a moment before. His footwork carried him around the creature's side, avoiding its primary weapons while repositioning for optimal striking angles. The zealous quick blade found its mark repeatedly. The strikes left cuts across its joints and deeper wounds in the softer areas between the armor plates. Noah wasn't going for a single killing blow anymore. He was dismantling his opponent's combat effectiveness. Disable first, kill second. It's more reliable than gambling on perfect strikes. The beetle's movements grew sluggish as blood loss and accumulated damage took their toll. Its attempts to take flight resulted in awkward hops that barely lifted it off the ground. Damaging its wings from the initial strike seems to help a tom. It's good to remember for future encounters. Noah's final attack came as a precise thrust to the creature's neck joint, sliding between armor plates to sever vitals. The beetle collapsed without the violent convulsions of his first kill. You have killed a Tier 0 monster, grass beetle. That felt cool. Like I actually knew what I was doing. The improvement was undeniable. Where his first beetle fight had been a poor attempt, this encounter had demonstrated much better combat skill. His movements flowed naturally, his decisions came faster. His blade work carried more fluidity. Time for one more. I can feel the skill progression right at the edge. Noah selected a third target, another mature beetle, this one positioned near a cluster of rocks that would complicate aerial attacks. The terrain advantage would let him focus purely on technique rather than survival. Perfect practice conditions. The approach went smoothly. The beetle noticed him at the expected range and moved into its pre-attack stance. Noah's response was the same. He positioned himself to counter the creature's preferred tactics before they could be deployed. This time, Noah initiated the engagement. Instead of waiting for the beetle's attack, he closed distance aggressively, forcing the creature to react to his timing rather than its own. The beetle's wing-assisted charge met Noah's intercepting blade with perfect timing. His strike caught the creature's head at the optimal angle, redirecting its momentum into the rocky terrain while delivering maximum damage. Chapter 78. Level Up. The follow-up attacks came naturally, dismantling the beetle's defenses, each cut building toward inevitable victory. Noah's footwork kept him constantly in advantageous positions while his blade work prevented any meaningful counterattack. The final stroke marked the beetle's death. You have killed a Tier 0 monster, grass beetle. Your swordsmanship skill has leveled up to level 5. There it is. The notification brought immediate satisfaction mixed with tangible improvement. Noah could feel the difference. He suddenly felt that his previous attacks were nothing but childish swings. His sword awareness increased substantially, and he gained more intuitive understanding of combat timing and distance. Level 5 swordsmanship. That puts me in the competent territory. 3 dead beetles lay scattered across the hunting ground. Other newbie demons in the area had taken notice of his kills, several nodding with respect. They had seen the way he had improved, from his first beetle kill to his third kill. Not bad for someone who started with wooden practice swords a few weeks ago. I wonder how Alyssa and Kip are doing. Kip is probably casting large fireballs, and Alyssa, she has probably become an apprentice swordsman, whilst I'm out here celebrating that I finally became a novice swordsman. The system's voice sounded in his mind, completely shattering his happiness. Sorry to break it to you, host. But you are not a novice swordsman. Whilst you have reached level 5, and indeed you do have the skill set of a novice swordsman, you do not have their combat power, simply because you cannot control your aura. Therefore, you are nowhere near as threatening as a novice swordsman. Noah's smile stiffened upon hearing the system's words. Does that mean I can't kill Tier 1 monsters now? No, host. More like you can't survive against Tier 1 monsters, let alone kill. System. You know you can answer without being sassy, right? He thought, rolling his eyes. Host. I can hear you. Ahem. He coughed before continuing. So what do I do now? How can I control the so-called aura you are talking about? To control aura, you need to be able to have magic. Aura is an extension of magic made manifest with weapons. It's not a separate energy by itself. So, to answer your question, you would be able to control your aura by simply leveling up your mana control skill to level 5. Once you level it up, you will then have the ability to start controlling your aura. Ah, I see. Noah had a look of understanding on his face as he listened to the system's explanation. He had thought that he would need to start from the beginning once again to try and control his aura, but it seemed like he was close. As long as I level up my mana control skill, I will then be able to finally control magic and aura. That will make me a novice mage and a novice swordsman. Noah focused inward, feeling for the mana that supposedly flowed through his body. It was there, but he was unable to harness its powers. Level 4 mana control. Just one more level. Time to test my new power, he thought, a grin forming on his face. A lone beetle approached from the treeline. Tier 0, same as the others he'd been fighting. Noah approached the lone beetle with more confidence than before, his stance instinctively changing into good form. His feet found the optimal distance, his sword arm extended at the perfect angle. The beetle noticed his approach and immediately went into combat mode. Its mandibles clicked menacingly as it prepared to charge. Come on then. The creature lunged forward with surprising speed, but Noah's eyes tracked its movement effortlessly. His sword swept upward in a perfect arc, meeting the beetle's trajectory at precisely the right moment. Swish! The attack cut through the air before making contact with the beetle. The blade sliced through chitin like butter, opening a devastating wound across the beetle's belly. Black ichor sprayed across the ground as the creature's momentum carried it past Noah's position. One clean strike. That would have taken me more attempts before. The beetle collapsed, its legs twitching briefly before going still. You have killed a Tier 0 monster, grass beetle. Noah stared at his sword, amazement flooding through him. The improvement was significant. He had gained a lot of power from the recent level up, that which made him feel incredibly excited. Noah stared at his sword, amazement flooding through him. Impressive, called a voice from nearby. Noah turned to see a demoness walking towards him with a smile on her face. You made that look easy, she continued, nodding toward the dead beetle. I'm still struggling with single targets. Thank yo, look out. Noah moved instinctively, stepping between the demoness and two beetles that had emerged from the tall grass. Their close proximity didn't give him a chance to think. Two at once. The first beetle launched its aerial attack while the second flanked from ground level. Noah's blade found the airborne creature's neck, immediately killing it, but focusing on one opponent left him vulnerable to the other due to his lack of experience in fighting groups. You have killed a Tier 0 monster, grass beetle. Shit, I made a mistake. I should have positioned better. Pain ran through his left arm as the second beetle's mandibles found their target. Harp chitin pierced cloth and skin, drawing blood while the creature's grip tightened. Arg! Noah grunted, more from surprise than agony. Get off. He shook off the beetle and yanked it away from his arm, feeling fabric and skin tear in the process. The creature hit the ground hard, momentarily stunned by the violent separation. Noah's blade ended its confusion permanently. You have killed a Tier 0 monster, grass beetle. Oh no! I'm so sorry. The demoness rushed forward, guilt written across her face. I should have been paying attention. I'll pay for your treatment. It's fine. Noah interrupted, reaching into his jacket pocket. Really, don't worry about it. He withdrew one of the wrapped loaves he'd brought as emergency supplies. Bread? She tilted her head, confusion replacing her concerned look. Chapter 79. I own an idol store. Noah unwrapped the healing bread and took a big bite. The sensation of healing spread through his body immediately, the effect of the bread accelerating his natural recovery processes. The demoness watched in stunned silence as the puncture wounds on Noah's arm began closing visibly. The blood loss stopped, torn tissue regenerated, and within moments, only faint marks remained where the injury had been. What kind of bread is that? Noah smiled as he finished the healing loaf, already feeling the last traces of pain fade from his arm. The bread had worked exactly as intended, 30% accelerated healing that turned potentially serious wounds into a minor inconvenience. I own a shop, he explained, tucking the empty wrapper back into his jacket. This is one of my products. Healing bread that boosts natural recovery by 30%. You can never have enough customers, he thought with an inward smile. The demoness stared at his completely healed arm with amazement. Her eyes tracked the faint marks where deep puncture wounds had been moments before, her expression going through disbelief and growing excitement. That's better than most Tier 1 healing potions, she exhaled. The regeneration speed, the complete tissue repair. I've never seen anything like it. Better than Tier 1 potions? That's useful information for pricing strategies. How much does it cost? She asked with interest etched in her face. Noah considered his standard pricing structure versus what the demon market might bear for superior healing products. The bread had proven its worth in actual combat conditions. Surely that justified premium pricing. Not much, he replied in a casual tone. Just 10 golden coins. Her eyebrow rose. Instead, her expression suggested someone evaluating an unexpectedly reasonable offer. 10 coins for healing that effective? That's actually not expensive at all. Of course, it's not expensive to you guys. The demons really are rich. The demoness reached for her coin pouch with obvious enthusiasm, then paused as a new thought occurred to her. Do you still have more of that bread? Also, where's your shop located? Noah nodded. Yes, I do. And my shop is in the plaza. It's quite open. You should be able to see it. Idle shop. If you can't find it, just ask around. Most people know where it is by now. Word of mouth advertising. The gift that keeps giving. The plaza. Her interest sharpened further. I know that area well. I can't believe I haven't noticed your shop before. It's relatively new, Noah explained. Still building customer base. Relatively new, as in appeared from another kingdom a few days ago. But she doesn't need those details. Well, you've definitely got at least one new customer, she said, extending her hand in introduction. I'm Kellis, by the way, freelance adventurer, amateur hunter, and apparently terrible at watching for flanking attacks. Noah, he replied, accepting the handshake. Just a shopkeeper. Kellis let out a genuine laugh, rather than one coming from polite courtesy. Just a shopkeeper? You handled that double attack better than some experienced fighters I've seen. Sure, you took a hit, but you adapted quickly. Experience teaches harsh lessons, Noah replied, thinking of his recent encounters with demon extremists. Better to learn from small mistakes than big ones. Smart philosophy. Kellis gestured toward the remaining beetles scattered across the hunting ground. Want to continue hunting together? Safety in numbers, and I promise to watch for flanking attacks this time. Noah considered the offer for a second. Sounds good. Just remember, my healing bread works best when I don't need to use it. She's already interested in my products. Cultivating customer relationships makes a business bloom. It's not like I will lose anything by hunting with her. Deal? Kellis grinned, holding her spear with confidence. Though knowing you have emergency healing might make me slightly more aggressive in my tactics. Noah's mouth twitched. I don't though. That was the last one I had with me. Oh. She responded before a smirk broke out. Don't worry. I guess I will drop down the intensity. Just a little. They approached the next cluster of beetles together. Kellis positioned herself to cover Noah's flanks while he took point with his superior sword skills. The first beetle fell to their combined assault without landing a single attack. Noah's blade had cut its life short. You have killed a Tier 0 monster, grass beetle. Good job, Kellis observed. They continued their hunting partnership across the beetle territory, accumulating experience and building team coordination. As the afternoon passed, Noah found himself genuinely enjoying the partnership aspect of monster hunting. Solo combat had been educational but isolating. Having someone to share the experience with was nice. So, Kellis said during a brief rest between encounters, what other products does your shop carry? Just healing bread? Or do you have more things? Noah gave her a mysterious smile. Secret. You can find out when you come to my shop. Kellis's eyes sparked with interest rather than frustration at his evasiveness. Now I'm definitely interested. You've got my attention. The hunting session continued for another hour, their teamwork growing better with each encounter. Noah used that time as an opportunity to learn how to coordinate with others. It was a good skill to have. By the time his shadow started lengthening across the grass, Noah felt satisfied with his progress. Level 5 swordsmanship had transformed his entire approach to monster hunting, turning dangerous encounters into manageable ones. Time to call it a day. My arm's healed. I've tested my new skill level, learned how to coordinate better with others in a fight, and I've acquired a potential customer. I think that's enough for today, Noah announced, wiping beetle ichor from his blade before sheathing the zealous quick blade. Kellis nodded in agreement, her spear held by her side. It was a very good session. I learned a lot watching your technique. Are you heading back to your shop? She asked with obvious hope. Noah nodded. Yes. Chapter 80, New Customer Heading Back. Can I come with you? I'd like to check out your products and buy some of that bread. Sure. The walk back to Sin City passed quickly. Kellis proved to be an engaging conversationalist. She didn't turn the conversations into awkward ones. Sin City's familiar mood welcomed them as they passed through the gates. There, Noah pointed toward his shop's modest storefront. The idle shop. Kellis studied the simple wooden sign with a curious gaze. Understated. I like that. Most shops around here try way too hard to grab attention by adding some figure of a beautiful succubus or things like that. Inside, Noah's shelves displayed their usual stock. Moon pulsed with gentle energy from its corner position, adding ambience that enhanced the atmosphere of the small shop. Wow! Kellis took a deep breath in. The air is so refreshing here. It feels really good. Noah smiled, his eyes landing on Moon. Kellis' eyes immediately drew to the iced tea. What are those? Iced tea, Noah replied, watching her reaction. Increases mana reserves and regeneration by 30% for 10 minutes. Her expression shifted from curiosity to genuine excitement. Mana enhancement? That's exactly what I need for longer hunting sessions. 20 golden coins, Noah said, noting how her enthusiasm didn't waver at the price point. And the bread. 10 golden coins per loaf. I won't change my price now. Kellis reached for her coin pouch without hesitation. One of each, please. Right away, he responded, making his way to the shelves. The transaction proceeded smoothly. Noah wrapped the bread carefully while Kellis examined the iced tea bottle with obvious appreciation. This is beautiful, she murmured, holding the glass bottle up to catch the light. The liquid actually glows, and it looks so beautiful. I can already tell that it's going to taste amazing, just by looking at it. Well, you are not wrong. My customers always praise this iced tea's taste. My products don't just have good effects, but they also have good taste. He smiled. Kellis activated her storage ring, depositing both purchases into whatever dimensional space the storage ring contained. Priceless treasures, she said with satisfaction. These are going straight into secure storage until I need them. Thank you for your business. Noah replied with genuine appreciation. Feel free to return anytime. I open up every day. There is a limit to buying, and it's one per person, and it usually runs out fast. So make sure you come either early or this late, like today. But coming late doesn't guarantee anything, as I might not be there. Oh, I will, Kellis assured him, already heading toward the door. This won't be my last visit. You will probably see me here tomorrow, and I will try to come early morning before my hunt. Noah's smile twitched. Well, don't come too early. Noah gave her his opening times, and Kellis nodded, making a mental note. As the door closed behind her, Noah checked his status. Host: Noah Carter. Age 28. Shops 1. Daily revenue $5,000. Current assets $94,300.64. Shop points 2160. Attributes: Strength 20, Vitality 4, Intelligence 7, Agility 20. Skills: Swordsmanship, Level 5, Mana Control, Level 4, Cooking, Level 2, Programming, Level 2, Finance, Level 1, Surviving on Ramen, Level 3, Gaming, Level 1. Auto Iced Tea, Level 2. Production rate: 1 iced tea every hour. Max stock: 24. Progress: 57/100. Auto Baker, Level 2. Production rate: 2 loaves every hour. Max stock: 24. Progress: 33/100. Noah's eyes moved across the familiar numbers with growing satisfaction. My shop points are climbing steadily toward the 5,000 threshold. Daily revenue is maintaining solid growth. And my current assets are approaching 6 figures once again. Life is good. Then he reached the attributes section. His mouth fell open. What the hell? Strength: 20. Agility: 20. The numbers flashed across his retina. Just hours ago, both attributes had been sitting at pathetic single digits. Now they had reached 20, a number so high he was shocked by it. System: what the hell is going on? Why did I gain so many attributes out of nowhere? Host: your swordsmanship skill has leveled up to level 5, which means you have crossed a milestone that allowed you to become a novice swordsman. Despite your inability to control aura, you still possess the physical strength and skill set of a novice swordsman. The explanation suddenly made sense. Damn, I thought my strikes had gotten more powerful and faster purely because of my improved technique. Turns out, it's also thanks to the significant increase in my speed and strength. Level 5 wasn't just another incremental improvement. It was a threshold that transformed his physical capabilities by a large margin. So that's why the beetle fights felt so different. I wasn't just getting better technique, I was getting stronger. Literally stronger. Noah suddenly realized that he could have most likely dodged the attack from the second beetle while he had protected Kellis. He was so used to his low agility that he didn't bother moving when it was so close to him, and focused on defense. With my agility, I could have probably dodged that. His body felt more coordinated, more responsive, like someone had upgraded his entire operating system overnight. Wait, he said aloud, a thought emerging from the revelations of the system. Does that mean when I level up my mana control skill to level 5, my intelligence will also skyrocket to 20? That is indeed correct, host. Once you level it up, your mana capacity will also increase substantially, just like your strength and agility did. 20 intelligence points. That would be good. The storage ring would finally respond to his touch. Basic spells would become accessible. I'm 1 level away from becoming a novice mage. Noah stared at his reflection in the shop's window. The scrawny programmer who dodged debt collectors had evolved into something he would have never expected. And I'm not even close to finished growing. Looking at his incredibly high stats, another thought emerged once again. My strength is so high. Why do I still look the same? Shouldn't I get some bigger muscles, toned abs, and all that kind of stuff? No, host. Whilst your strength has increased, it has nothing to do with your strength or agility. For the things you've mentioned, you need another attribute, charisma. That attribute is currently locked for you. You can unlock it once you reach a higher store level.